Hey, all my love from South Philly. Mwah. Peace out, pal.
Vinny from South Philly.
You're watching Vinny from South Philly.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Vinny Presents. Today, we have from Staten Island, our wonderful actor, director, filmmaker. He is award-winning. He's worked with such actors as Gene Hackman, Keanu Reeves, and a list of many, many, many others. Welcome to the show, Steve Stanulis. How are you, my friend? Welcome.
I love that we're repping Staten Island. There's not too many of us. Oh, you know what? The funny thing is, Staten Island really came up over the years. You got Pete Davidson, you got Alyssa Milano, you got Ricky Schroeder. But I mean, I'm naming like old school. There's a ton of Staten Island. People don't realize how many people come out of Staten Island. But yeah, we're repping Staten Island, and I'm proud of it. Staten Island in house.
It's always a pleasure. I got a lot of friends up there, and especially Brooklyn, 18th Ave. I got a lot of boys out there. Staten Island, I got some friends, but I wish I had more. Maybe sometime I'll have to come up there and.
Well, actually, unfortunately, I'm not in Staten Island anymore. But I'll always say I'm from Staten Island.
Fantastic. Now, Steve, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. How'd you get involved with the whole filmmaking process? And obviously, you're an actor, so just tell us your whole history, man. We'd love to hear it.
I had no interest in being in the film world, right? Zero. No aspirations. I was working at Chippendales, and I was a New York City cop. And one day I was working at a show, and I had met a gentleman that was at the show. Why, I have no idea, but he was there. And, he came up to me. He said, I got these girls I want you to dance for at my penthouse. And they're beautiful. If you're available, I'd love to have you. And I was like, yeah, all right, bro. I'm like, sure. So I go back downstairs to the locker room, and I'm hanging out with all the other guys. And one of the other dancers happens to come down and says, Steve, that dude's upstairs waiting for you. So I go, okay. So I go upstairs, and I go up to the guy. I go, dude, I'm a cop. And I show him my shield. He's like, no, I really got these girls. And I said, okay. So we go back to back to his apartment. Not an apartment. I'm understated. We go back to his penthouse, and there were, in fact, like two of the most beautiful girls you've ever seen. And I ended up dancing with them. And I was like 20, 21. I just started 21. So, they were like penthouse models. And I got paid like $2,000. And I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? So at that point in my life, $2,000 might as well have been $2 million. And he said, by the way, Leonardo DiCaprio lives with me. I'm his money manager. Would you be interested in working security with him? So I said, yeah, let me know. And I thought nothing of it, right? So I go home. I go back. I do a day tour in the 120 precinct. And I get off of work, and on my phone rings, and it's this guy, and he's like, Leo wants to meet you. Are you around tonight? And this is like right after Titanic, so this is like when Leo was like, partied all the time and going out every night. If you wanted to be with Leo, at any point, that was the time, right? So I go, yeah, I'll be. I said, what time do you need me? He goes, can you get here at 9? And I'm like, I can't. I'm doing a bachelorette party. Once again, how stupid was that, right? I do the party, and I end up getting there late. And I get there, and again, there's Leo's there, and all these guys. And again, I have nothing in common with them. First of all, I have no aspirations to be in the film industry, so that wasn't a thing. I'm late. He's the biggest star in Hollywood. I'm, a Chippendale cop. Two different worlds, and it's the small talk, but you could tell it was forced, and it got to the point where I mentioned I had tore my ACL being a cop. So he's like, "Oh my God, I tore my ACL on Basketball Diaries." Now the whole perspective changed. Now I'm not a cop. I'm like, everybody has a perception like cops, a certain way, and I end up working with him. So, the cool thing with working with them, again, when I say them, because he had like a posse of people we went out with all the time, which was Lucas Haas, Toby Maguire, Q-Tip, from Tribe Called Quest, if you know who Q-Tip is, and David Blaine. That was the crew. So, again, it was great because I'd be with them. And it wasn't like I was working security because, again, I'm not like 6'5", 300-pound guy. I looked like I fit in with them. But the cool thing was when people came up to us, I could just show my shield, and people like more respected that than if I was like some, jamoke telling them to get away. So when they took pictures and everything, it looked like he was accessible. But, I was there, so anyhow, I ended up doing a party. And I meet this guy, we hit it off. He was a Brooklyn guy, and his name was Dylan Sellers. And he was telling me, I'm doing a movie, called The Replacements. You play football? And I'm like, yeah, I played in high school. And he's like, you'd be perfect for the backup quarterback. And I'm like, yeah, okay, great. And again, it was very Forrest Gumpian. I was just really kind of in the right place at the right time. And then the next week, I'm at Baltimore Ravens Stadium, with Keanu Reeves, Gene Hackman, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. You know what I mean? So fast forward, I end up getting something again because I was with all of them in Gangs of New York, and I got to play a native with Daniel Day-Lewis, who played the Butcher, and I hung out with him the whole time. And again, it was awesome because he ended up winning an Oscar for that. And, I got to see it like firsthand. And the cool thing was he never broke character, so I was, at lunch and all these different things, I was hanging out with the Butcher, you know what I mean? So, awesome. It was great. I said, you know what? I better go to acting school because I'm going to be put in something that, I'm not going to be able to handle. So then, what happens is this guy who's the money manager to all these people, and he was like the money manager to everyone. I mean, he managed, if you were A-list, he managed your money. And anybody that was big in 99, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Alanis, Michael Ovitz, who ran Disney, CAA, everybody, if you had anybody, he was your money manager. He was like the Oz in Hollywood. I, in fact, which I never shared on a podcast, which is you'll be a little something different, was in the office with him, and the good thing because it worked out for him is I seen him turn down Vin Diesel because he didn't think Vin was A-list enough at that time. And this is way before Vin did Fast. I think he did Pitch Black or something. And anyway, what happens is he ends up getting indicted for embezzling funds from all these people. And it was a huge story. And I lost all my access because everybody knew me kind of through him. You know what I mean? So, and there was a cop implicated. It wasn't me, but people automatically thought it was me because I was always the one that was around. So I lost everything. That was all my access gone. So now I'm like, I have to bug, right? So now I gotta, now I have to get an agent. I have to audition. I'm like, what do you mean? What audition? What do I got? So now I'm like back to square one. So now I had to get an agent, and again, I booked The Sopranos. I booked these things, but I was always the same thing. I was always the Brooklyn guy, the gangster, the cop, and I'm like, this is not really what my forte. You know what I mean? There's guys that just do that, and they're great. And they've made a living out of it, and a lot of those people as well. And I've worked with a lot of those people as well. But I knew there was more of a range of things I could do than just be that. So, I started making a couple shorts. And it was funny just to show you how things changed. In 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, nobody made their own stuff. And if you did, you couldn't say you were the producer, the director, and the actor because it was kind of looked down upon. You know what I mean? So anyhow, I started gaining traction, and then we did a couple features. But I did a film in 2008, which did very, very well. And the problem was that I started to learn is there was only Blockbuster. You had a theatrical release or went to Blockbuster. That was it. There was no platforms all over the place. And so again, I kind of had to keep going, and then obviously I said, let me just be an actor again, and I got the Deuce, and then again, I had the bug. I always felt that if you're an actor, you can't just be an actor. You can't just wait for the phone to ring. So again, I love directing, I love producing, I like doing all of them. So I started Stanulis Films, and we started raising money, and then we went on a nice run where we did a film called Clayton Road, which did very well. Then I did a documentary on Lilo Brancato, which got a ton of publicity for a documentary because he was involved with a cop getting killed, and I was a cop. And I was the director, so that got a lot of attention. And then from there, obviously, things kept going and escalating. And we went out to do The Fifth Borough, which did very, very well. It came out during COVID, and you would have thought we were the Avengers because nothing else came out at the time. So we did that, and then Chronicle of a Serial Killer, and then we just kept cranking them out, and luckily they've been doing pretty well.
Now, great. I mean, all these things that you're talking about are amazing. I think most people would die to be in some of these people's company, but as you said, it was a bug. You kind of got swept in. You got pulled into this world that I'm sure you didn't expect as a young kid. Yeah, making $2,000 it was like making $1 million back then.
Right.
But that but it's I love hearing stories like this because it just shows how things just it's just weird how life just pulls you in a certain direction. And being around all those people though at an early age, that's such a big impact. People can't handle that, but you were able to handle it, and you maneuvered your way to continue following what you found to be your passion. I think it's amazing.
Well, the crazy thing, Vin, is again, I would be with Hollywood's elite. I would be with Boone Pickens, who it was the biggest hotel oil guy in the world. At a dinner, and then 8 hours later, I'd be running through the projects chasing a drug dealer, or hanging out with Cameron Diaz, and then all of a sudden the next day, making an arrest, taking somebody in, and I couldn't even tell people what I was doing, other cops, because it almost hearing what I was saying was almost like, what? And it was kind of bizarre, and again, it was awesome because again, the other cool thing was because I was with Leo in '99. Anybody who was big wanted me as well because I was Leo's guy, so now everybody wanted DiCaprio's guy. So, I worked with any music person like REM, and all those people I worked with on a steady. Because of that. So it opened up a lot of doors. Everything opened up. It was bizarre because everything opened up doors. I mean, I had written a play. I would, because with my whole Chippendale thing called Stripped, and it was like the Vagina Monologues meets Chippendales, and it went to off Broadway, and then we got reviewed by the Times, which is unheard of. For people that are familiar with playwriting and doing plays off Broadway. And then we did a residency in Planet Hollywood for like 6 months in Vegas. And again, so every door kind of led to a different door, but it was all very, let me try this, let me do that, So it's been a pretty wild run.
Now, going back to DiCaprio, how was he like just one on one? How did you find the guy on a personal level?
Awesome. He was great. Like I said, well, first of all, to meet him and to be in his thing, if you don't, if you're not in his circle, you could be at a table with him and he would totally, totally not even acknowledge you. But once you're in that circle, the circle of trust, we'll say, um, he was awesome. And I realized that a lot more much later, about 10 years later, because I stopped doing all that stuff for a while. And I just happened to be in a situation where I was asked to work with Kanye West, and which was a disaster. And obviously, he tried to sue me for 28 million, 29 million, 30 million for hitting on Kim. And just the way he, again, the contrast between the way he worked with people as opposed to that working with him, I actually got more of an appreciation for the Leo and all those guys much later in life, because I thought I had nothing to compare that experience to. So when I got into a situation where I was working for a short period of time with Kanye West, I realized, wow, because when you have nothing to compare something to, you think that's always the way it is until it's not. So he was amazing. He was a great dude, and he's I reached out to him when he won the Oscar. But again, I can still reach out if I want to. We really haven't stayed in touch much, but like I said, if I have no doubt if I reached out, I would get a response.
That's fantastic. Well, going back to what you said earlier about access and losing access, like I think a lot of us have been there. That maybe whether it's in show business or any other kind of business, it's a horrible thing to one day you're inside the house, next day you're outside of the house, and it could take a real big toll on a lot of people, especially in showbiz. So the fact that you kept on rolling with that, and the fact that you kept on going, what do you see now? Like, where are you at with your, obviously you have your own company, right? You're a producer, and so how do you, where are you now with everything? What are you working on? How are you enjoying the film business as it is today?
Season 2 that's just getting released. It looks like it might be a Peacock original, which is called Great Kills, which again has a great cast, and it's a cool concept. It's about a hitman. It's a mockumentary about a hitman, dark comedy that is followed around by a camera crew, and it was something that we did, and it did really well. Season 1, I think it went viral, which I was pleasantly surprised with, because certain things you do, you think they're going to be home runs, and certain things you're like and they just take off, and I just kind of call it like lightning in a bottle, so to speak. Which I'm excited about that. So we'll go. You ready to go to season 3 with that? There was another film right before COVID we were supposed to shoot called Red Money, which I'm excited about. It was the only project I was involved with that never got completed, and it was due to obviously to a worldwide pandemic. But the cast at the time had Jason Patrick, Megan Fox, Kevin Dillon, Dolph Lundgren, I think Busta Rhymes. So it's in pre-production again. I'm not sure if we're going to go back to the same cast, obviously, but I don't know with scheduling and the amount of time has gone by if everybody can still do it. But like I said, I'm more than confident that we get people as equal value if it's something that we can't get one of those, unfortunately. And then we have another real psychological thriller called Freak Off, which is something I'm really excited about. So as far as that personally, yeah, I mean, as film wise, those are the things that we're doing in the immediate. We got a podcast as well that's doing well called Screw the Clout. We're doing some a lot of other good things, not in the entertainment entity world. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'll stick to one topic. So entertainment wise, these are the things going on. Uh, I just got signed on with a pretty big agency, so everything's good. Everything's great. I mean, and as far as this, what I think in the film world, I think it's never been an easier time, obviously, to get your stuff out there. Because, like I said, when I started, I had either a theatrical release, a film festival, or blockbuster. But in the same token, everybody has the same ability as you do now, right? So now you have to figure out, how do I now differentiate myself doing that? So again, it's a tough game. In the indie world is a tough game. I commend anybody who does it. I respect anyone who does it. I think it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people should stay, instead of being happy for each other, and rooting for each other, and kind of coming together. I think it's broken up for some stupid reason into factions and competition between the indie, world, which I don't know why. Because again, there's always been strength in numbers. Don't understand it. Never. I don't get it. But if that's, it's just the way it is. And I said it on another podcast recently that nobody's happy for you if you succeed, and it's a shame. And it's this world, for whatever reason, people see somebody get a role or see they're doing well, and instead of saying, "Wow, that's amazing. That shows that I could do that," they're like, "Why is he getting that, not me?" And you know what I mean? And it's so bizarre, because it's a whole huge world, and it's not about them; it's about you. So it's just a shame, and I don't. That's never going to change, but that's just the way it is.
It's definitely, and that's very prevalent here on the East Coast, as you know.
And it's so I don't want to say silly, but if everybody came together, right, that is doing things successfully, and combines their not only knowledge but their abilities, because not everybody does everything well, and their contacts, and everybody had like a nice group, I think everybody would go much further. But everybody's not that way. What are you gonna do?
I listen. I agree. I just, I'm a beginner, a budding filmmaker. I just did my first short, and for sure,
Amazing. Awesome.
thank you for a short, right? Just for a short, it was, not even shoestring budget. It was dental floss budget. Okay, there was no
Right.
money.
Right.
But still, could you believe, Steve, that you still had people that were in bigger positions than me? They were like jealous. I'm just like, what is wrong with people, man? Instead of supporting each other. But I might sound a little bit, and I'm a very positive person, man. Maybe I sound a little negative here by saying this, but unity is sort of just like some that if it happens, it happens for a little bit of time, and it doesn't last. And I think especially in this particular industry, because it's a very personal thing, and I think you put your heart and soul into being an actor or a filmmaker or whatever, that you then get very, very hurt if somehow you don't get something. But I look at it this way. I look up to people like yourself and others that have broken through and are doing it and making it happen. You could always be at a bigger level, let's face it, but you're still doing it. So I always appreciate people like that.
Well, again, also, thank you. But somebody said something smart one time, and I think it was Eric Roberts. Um, they asked him his advice on something and what he would do differently, and what have you. And he just said, "Be nice to everyone," because you know what? If you're a dick on set, and you're addicted to that one PA, or whatever, they might be the next, Spielberg one day. You know what I mean? And again, people don't forget. So again, it doesn't. What does it say? Just to be nice and to be humble, and no matter what you do and what level. I mean, I dealt with the A of the A of the A, and they're always the most humble people. Then I'll deal with people that have 15 minutes of fame. And, they feel like they're owed everything. They feel like they got to be, keep proving who they were. And it's almost bananas. But again, it is what it is. And that's why they say the higher you go, the more haters you're going to have. And if you don't have enough haters, it means you're not doing well enough. So embrace the haters, because if you're not getting them, you're not where you need to be. Right?
Those are wise words, brother. Now, where can everybody find you? I'm going to post everything on the description, but you have any websites or anywhere you want to direct people to?
Well, again, my Instagram is I'm most prevalent on. I'm always, if I'm going to post or do something, it'll be on Instagram, which is obviously at Steve Stanulis. The Stanulis Films website. I mean, I'm on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, again, if you want to reach me most of the time, it's on Instagram. I occasionally go, because a lot of people sometimes DM me on Facebook and I don't get back to them for a period because I just don't go there. I try, but again, you know how it is. It's just too many different things. And then obviously STV Stanulis on X, and so yeah, so I'm pretty much on every platform. And with my, you type in my last name, you'll find me.
Fantastic. And again, those who are watching, please make sure you subscribe to me. You'll see in the description box a whole lineup of Steve's links. And that's it for today. Steve, I really appreciate your time. I think we had a great, I'm sure my guests are going to love this and are enjoying all your stories. You got some really amazing things that you've brought up, and you've lived a very interesting life so far, brother. And I wish you all the best in the future.
I appreciate it. Good luck with what you're doing. Congrats on the short, and keep going, bro.
Thank you again, folks. You're watching Vinny Presents, and we'll stay tuned for the next episode. Today, we've had the pleasure of interviewing Steve Stanulis. Steve, thank you, brother. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.